And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I'm your host, Louis Sung, and joining me as always is my co-host, Ron Caniff, who's in an empty room somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So what happened to Tennessee? Ron, what happened?
Well, I don't think anything happened to Tennessee. Tennessee's still great. I'm just not going to end up being there now. So change of plans. Last second change of plans. So I'm staying here now, and this is going to be my new podcast studio eventually. And like you said, man cave.
Yeah.
So now it's just kind of an empty room, pretty much. That's it. But a big old empty room upstairs.
So, and by the way, thank you. Hello, Ender Fireplace, YT, let's go. Yes, gentlemen, Cap for Life is here. Why is Ron wearing his sunglasses upside down? That is an excellent question. I actually am very curious about that myself.
It's the postseason.
Everything is topsy-turvy now.
Yeah. Everything in the world has gone crazy.
The world is now spinning backwards. The Dolphins are in the playoffs.
The only way I could represent that was to wear my sunglasses upside down. I had nothing else.
I can't wait to see how long you can last being.
No, I'm already changing it. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible and uncomfortable.
All righty. So, gang, we all have a lot to talk about here. Obviously, yes, the Miami Dolphins somehow, miraculously, for once, everything did not go wrong, even though that's usually what Murphy's Law is. So the Miami Dolphins are in the postseason. Whether you think they belong there or not, that is irrelevant to the question. They made it. They are in.
They made it.
And they made it over New England Patriots, the perennial playoff team somehow, even though they obviously don't deserve it, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who usually do deserve it. And we beat them too to get in. So, hallelujah.
Yeah, I'll take it. You said everything did not go wrong. You'd be correct that everything did not go wrong.
A lot of things did.
Nothing went wrong.
A lot of things did.
Be very inaccurate, but we got in somehow, some way. Hey, and Sanders, I wish Chad was here so we could rub it in his face a little about Sanders, but I know he has stuff to do tonight.
Alrighty. So before we get too far into it, we will see if Alfredo Artiaga or Chad Ronenbaum join in. They all have their own things to do, but as always,
I think it's just going to be us tonight, buddy. I think they're stuck with us.
Might just be. Oh well. You know what? This is the core of the show, right? It's you and it's me, and this is very convenient. We started here in the regular season, and we're gonna start here in the postseason. Hopefully, we go towards another streaky win streak. But before we get too far into everything,
five in a row.
5 in a row. And speaking of 5, use the promo code. Speaking of 5, use the promo code 5. That's FIVE. And PrizePicks.com will match your initial deposit up to $100 when you sign up using that promo code. It is a revolutionary fantasy platform game where you can pick up to 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 different players. 6. If you get all 6, you can really, really win some big time monies over there. All you have to do is just choose the over or the under on those individual players' fantasy projections, whether that's individual stats or the classic fantasy point projections. They'll send you freebie picks to take advantage of every once in a while. They have Taco Tuesday promos, which are going on today. I went ahead and followed Brady Hawk's suggestion to go ahead and get my picks in for there. And of course, Flex Friday, which is my favorite time of the week, where you can bet up to $20 on as many players as you want. And if you manage to get them all, you win. And if you lose, well, they give you the money back as promotional funds. So really, you don't really lose anything. You live to fight another day. So go ahead. What are you waiting for? Use the promo code 5. That's FIVE, and they will match up to $100. Again, that's a big old 100 they're giving you for free to play with on your initial deposit when you sign up. Deposit for 100, they give you another 100 to play with. Promo code 5, FIVE, prizepicks.com. All right, Ron. So let's just go over everything that we have here, because we have a Miami Dolphins football team absolutely decimated by injury. We are not sure if Tua is going to play. We are not sure if Teron Armstead is going to play. We are not sure if Raheem Mostert is going to play. We are not sure if a lot of top people are going to play. And a lot of top people did not play the last 2 games of the season. And yet somehow, miraculously, here we are in the postseason when, by all accounts, Miami should not be here right now. Miami should have the skid should have come to its inevitable conclusion. The collapse would have completed itself, and it did not happen. So I want to go ahead and I want to get your thoughts, because I was at a Chili's at the bar with my best friend and my little brother, and we were watching the game, and it was literally the most miserable experience I have ever sat through in my Dolphins career, because just the sheer level of ineptitude on offense on both sides was incredible. And yet we're here thanking Jason Sanders for our postseason berth.
Well, I mean, the Dolphins kind of remind me of like the end of one of the Terminator movies where the Terminator is nothing but an endoskeleton. He has no legs. He has like one arm, and he's just dragging himself. That's us dragging ourselves into the playoffs. Like, we don't have much left, but that game was just terrible on offense. Terrible. I mean, Skylar Thompson just. I almost wonder if Glennon on a few days could have perhaps done a little better than that. I almost wonder that if it has to be Skylar Thompson in the playoffs, if maybe you just don't let Glennon do it. It's. I just don't think you have a prayer with Skylar Thompson in the playoffs, but maybe you got a little bit of a prayer with Teddy. We really need Tua. We know that. We know we need Tua. We need Armstead. We need those guys. If we could at least have Tua and Armstead, we'd have a shot against the Bills, as we played them pretty well before in Buffalo a few weeks back.
I mean, playing Buffalo doesn't seem as scary as it used to. We watched them against the New England Patriots. Everybody was watching that game, too, because we needed New England badly to lose. And it started to look like the Bills were just emotionally exhausted from all of the
I'm sure they were.
stuff.
And they really, they hadn't practiced really. They kind of did some walkthroughs. It was just, you got to, kind of put that one aside for them. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, the Bills aren't the Bills now. I'm sure they'll be highly focused for this playoff game. Apparently, Hamlin's going to be there, probably. So, I'm sure it'll be an emotional crowd, an emotional team. Unfortunately, it's what we're facing though.
So now, with all that said, what I want to really focus on right now, first of all, obviously the game, which we already saw. Durham Smythe did some things. Mike Gesicki, Ron. My God, Mike Gesicki. It's crazy to think about it, but after all year of being completely irrelevant to the Miami Dolphins offense, for Skylar Thompson, he was nothing short of a lifesaver more than once throughout that game.
Yeah, he's just a big target to throw the ball to. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. And so he's just can be a bailout guy to someone who's just desperate and looking for a big target to throw the ball to. And if you need to be precise and throw with anticipation and throw with timing and all that, which this offense requires, then you're in trouble. But then you just look and you see Gesicki and you just throw the ball to him, I guess.
But for somebody like Skylar Thompson, yeah, that's a big. I was listening. That's a big safety blanket. I was listening to Troy Stratford and Alex Dono during the Extra Yard a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how young quarterbacks like that, their best friend is the tight end because they're easy targets to find. They're quick. They're easy catches. They're usually like 5 yards away from you, and even then, though, like Skylar Thompson. Listen, Alf said it. His film against Minnesota was not as good as the naked eye could have sworn up and down that it was. I thought it looked pretty good, but just based on what I saw against the Jets, oh my Lord. And that's with a week's worth of prep time. I am now firmly off of the Skylar Thompson train. Now I am getting very distinct. I'm getting very distinct Brandon Doughty vibes from Skylar Thompson. Remember Brandon Doughty and how he looks fantastic in preseason, like, oh, hey, we might actually have something here. And then he actually gets into a game. It's like, oh, wait, we have absolutely nothing here. So that's what Skylar feels like to me now.
Is there no chance of Teddy playing? Can he? Is it Tua or Tyler or Skylar and that's it?
I mean, I'm sure that they're looking at Teddy Bridgewater as a possibility. I'm sure that they are keeping his thumb very much in consideration with this whole thing, because if he can, no, excuse me, not his thumb. Raheem Mostert's the thumb. Teddy is the dislocated pinky finger.
Yeah,
which I shouldn't make fun of, but because it obviously every finger counts when you're an NFL quarterback. But with that being said, I'm sure that they're looking very closely at him. But I just want to be very, very real. Then I'm going to go ahead and just highlight a few things here. From Joshua Trinkler, Finn should trade for Tannehill. Like, wouldn't that be something? It's
it's not going to help us now.
No, a Ryan Tannehill reunion just to as the backup, obviously, because throwing to spots and timing, that was never Tannehill's thing. Tannehill throws to guys. He does not throw to spots. That's like his main issue. And that was the one thing that we kept getting upset about with him. And ironically enough, we were getting upset at the opposite with Tua during the losing streak. It's like, why are you throwing the spots? Throw to the players. I'm like, that's literally the opposite.
That's not how the offense works.
And
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a tough game, especially if we don't have Tua.
And
I don't know what more can really be said about it. They got to run the ball. I mean, it looks like they're down a running back too, so it's going to be Wilson and Ahmed, and they're just going to have to run the crap out of the ball. They ran the ball very well on Buffalo last time. They stopped doing it in the fourth quarter, unfortunately, but ran the ball well. So that's really going to have to be now. I'm sure Buffalo will know that, especially if it's Skylar Thompson. They're going to sell out to stop the run. I don't think we'll run it on them as well as we did because their defense, they weren't setting up to stop the run really in the previous game. They were trying to clog the middle, do what the Chargers had done, what San Fran had done some to Tua. So it's probably a different defensive strategy for them. But we're still going to have to try and run the ball. We just don't have an option.
But I'm okay with trying to run the ball. I have literally no issues whatsoever with that because even when like the Jets are supposed to have like a really good defense, right? And so with the Buffalo Bills, obviously they're supposed to have a really good defense. Running the ball was something that Miami was doing pretty well. And this is something that I had been, and I told you this during the Packers game too, is like, I don't care if it's not working on a few plays. On more plays than not, it was working. And so I want to keep doing that. Like how many times, and granted, it was to their detriment for the Jets because our run defense is so obviously stout that there was just no getting past it. But with the Dolphins, even if a couple of times it got stuffed, and it did, there were a few times where guys got caught behind the line of scrimmage. Jeff Wilson, obviously, he did not.
If you run the ball a lot in the NFL, that's going to happen to every single team. You run the ball 20, 25, 30 times, you're going to have a couple times where you have some tackles for loss. You're going to get stuffed for 1 or 2 yards more than once. It absolutely will happen in the NFL. If it doesn't, that other team's defense really sucks. I mean, if it doesn't happen at all, it's just going to happen. You have to take those. Just like when you're going to throw the ball sometimes and have an incomplete pass, which is 0 yards, right? It's just going to happen. That's the nature of the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this up here because Cap for Life is calling us out on the carpet here. I guarantee you with everything that Ron just said, if you told him Uno would be the starter, he would change his whole mind and take back everything he's saying right now. Well, yeah.
No, I think even with Uno there, we need to run the heck out of the ball, especially considering he's shown that when he comes back from a break, he's just not sharp. When he came back from the injury in Pittsburgh, he just wasn't very good that game at all. He just looked rusty. I would imagine if he did somehow miraculously play in this game, he's going to look rusty. The game plan should not change. However, the way Buffalo decides to defend us could change if Tua's back there, making it a little bit easier to run the ball possibly. But I don't think the game plan should change. We should be running the heck out of the ball.
And I'm also going to bring up one more thing because Cap for Life also said that we're a bunch of ingrates, that the rookie Skylar and the defense and running game and offensive line got us in the playoffs. How dare we blaspheme on these gladiators? Listen, Cap, Skylar Thompson.
Tua got us in the playoffs.
Yeah, let's be real about something. If Skylar Thompson had to play the whole season, we would have been like God, 3-17, 3-15.
Yeah, Tua got us in the playoffs. We'd be deeper in the playoffs or have a higher seeding if Tua could have played all season. Yeah, and that's a story for after the season's over. We'll discuss the future after the season. Right now, we'll talk about this playoff game.
Well, we'll talk about what I want to do actually, Ron, is I want to talk a little bit about the past here because now the regular season is over. And now we're getting ready to do playoffs and everything. We don't know how far we're going to get into it. We hope that Tua plays because honestly, I feel like that's like the only real hope we have of beating Buffalo legitimately. But with that being said, the Miami Dolphins now are in a situation where we're going to evaluate everything that we just saw. we're going to have to make changes, whether we win in the playoffs or not. So overall, and I asked this during the post game right after the Dolphins Jets game, how would you grade the Miami Dolphins 2022 regular season?
Ooh, interesting. I'll say B-. I mean, we made the playoffs, so I can't give it a C, because the teams I think that just were the fringe who just missed the playoffs, maybe they're a C. Maybe the Jets is like a C, or Pittsburgh might be a C. We're a B-. If I had to grade it like that, if that's what you're looking for,
a letter. I'm looking for a letter grade, and I'm trying to find out. Okay, so why B-? Is it only because of the playoffs and everything? Like, what other things are you?
The offense was extremely good most of the time, especially when Tua was there. So that really brings it up. The defense. If the defense had played better, I could give it a little bit better grade. But the defense really. They let us down a lot of times, and they would look stout sometimes, but it was just so inconsistent. And I understand there was the injuries in the secondary, but even with those injuries, man, I mean, we were last on the road in defense and last in the AFC. Just terrible at times. Terrible.
No, yeah, it was terrible, and to be fair, even the offense, even with Tua, had its issues. Obviously, San Francisco, the Chargers, the game right after that, the Packers game at the second half with Tua, it wasn't a pretty sight all the time. And I'm seeing a lot of different grades here. So from Gelato, C+, only because Dolphins made the playoffs. Jermaine King saying B-. Liberty City Kane says a C. So. Now a C, so that's not even C+, just plain a C. Now, I feel like the defense is the main reason behind all that, because Miami could not stop the other team from scoring, like, at all near the end of that season. Like, near the beginning, they were kind of looking okay, but that was before all the injuries absolutely decimated what was left in the Miami Dolphins secondary. And I feel like that's the biggest issue with what happened here. Josh Boyer does not know how to function without corners. Of course, to be fair to him, not many defensive coordinators could function without.
But Josh Boyer takes it one step further. Josh Boyer can't function without grade A All-Star Pro Bowl cornerbacks. That defense and the way it's designed, the number one thing it has to have is just all-pro corners. It has to have a pair of them. And a defense without that just struggles all the way around. It just does. And we see that now. We always knew that one day that was a possibility, right? Like last year, we played good. Think about it. That defense would struggle against good quarterbacks at full strength in the past with Flores. Think about all the good teams that just railed that defense with Byron Jones, with Brandon Jones, with a healthy X, with Nick Needham, right? And we would just get annihilated by good quarterbacks. Now take those guys away and try and play good quarterbacks. Yeah, that defense it has to have the strong corners, and not having them, you're right. Josh Boyer just doesn't know how to function without them. He's not the guy. If you want to implement zone and do more zone and pressure more forward and blitz less, if that's truly the kind of defense that McDaniel ultimately would like to play, then no offense to Boyer, but he's just not the guy to implement and teach that defense. So they got to find somebody who can, honestly. Josh Boyer, this guy, he's been coaching defensive backs in the NFL for 15, 20 years. I don't know, a long time. He'll find a job. He'll be fine. But for what we want to do, I don't think Boyer's the guy.
Yeah, so, and Alfredo, who's hanging out in the chat today, apparently. Dolphins ended the season -1 on game score with their injuries, so they were supposed to be 10-7. They underachieved by only one game with all of those injuries. By the way, Alf, open invitation. You want to pop in, feel free. With that being said, Aaron Anders points up, sad that if they would have won 2 more games, they'll be facing the Jaguars instead. I know I would rather face the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You say that. But,
I am not scared.
Right now. They're hot.
They're hot. Oh, they're hot. Beating up on Josh Dobbs and the
yeah. They're hot. No, that's a hot team right now. They're playing well. You can't just. It isn't just one game. They won 5 in a row. They didn't beat Tennessee every one of those games. They beat some really good teams throughout the year. I would not dismiss that team at all. And hey, for anybody who cares about the Florida thing, all 3 Florida teams in the playoffs. So first time since '99.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
So
if anyone gives a crap,
yeah,
which clearly Lewis does not.
I mean, listen, man, I got a 1999. I didn't really know much about the Dolphins other than I used to play NFL 2K, and I would get as many players that I recognized from the even older days because my father said they were good players. So, man, anyways, Gelato, man, I wish Tua could stay healthy. He needs to play to improve within this offense. Yes, he does, and I said on Twitter earlier that I didn't think Tua was going to play. I think they were already prepping for another Skylar Thompson game, but some things were pointed out to me recently over the last few days that the way that things are being worded and the way that Mike McDaniel is approaching things in press conferences and things like that, usually he would go straight up and say, no, we're going with Skylar at the very beginning of the week, and he would leave no room for speculation. But the fact that they're leaving this door open, that ask me again Wednesday, ask me again the next day, and let's see where we're going with this, I'm starting to change my tune a little bit, and I think that Tua might have an outside chance. And I think they're really pushing it because I think everybody knows. Mike McDaniel knows, the front office knows, Steve Ross knows, everybody. They know that they need Tua if they're actually going to have a shot against Buffalo. Beating the Jets with Joe Flacco at quarterback is not that special. It's not that impressive. And the fact that it was literally a score of 11-6 with just 5 field goals total scored, man, that just goes to show that the Jets are nothing, really. They're really not that special.
Their offense is terrible. They won the games they won.
They have good pieces. They have good pieces. Garrett Wilson is there. Breece Hall is there. Those are good pieces.
Yeah, unfortunately, they have some young good pieces that we're going to have to contend with for a while, but their offense is just terrible. Terrible. And I can't imagine it's just their quarterback situation because it seems like, I mean, besides Mike White, who is okay, it seems like no matter who. I mean, Joe Flacco is at least a competent quarterback. Bro, at least somewhat competent. Bro, that offense is just terrible. If Sully or if he doesn't get fired,
I'm going to literally look it up how to pronounce his name.
He could come be our DC. For sure, I would imagine he'd come be our DC if he did get fired. But I imagine he'll keep his job. If he does keep his job, he has to completely rip apart that offensive coaching staff and start over. And they have to find a quarterback and decide if Mike White is in or not. So they got work to do on the offensive side of the ball. That's for sure.
Okay, so by the way, it's apparently it's pronounced Robert Saleh.
Saleh, okay.
Like salad, but without the duh.
So have they only fired 3 coaches if you include Hackett so far?
Let's see. The offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders has been fired, so he's gone.
I meant head coaches though.
Oh, head coaches.
So
Lovie Smith is gone.
Hackett and Lovie Smith, right?
Lovie Smith is an interesting name for defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know enough about his defensive coordinator days to know that.
I'm thinking in terms of if we were going to stick with Mike McDaniel, which I want to, and I think we should, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a veteran defensive coordinator on hand to really run this defense. Because Josh Boyer, he was there, but Brian Flores was really the guy behind the actual success of the defense, him having Xavier Howard, Byron Jones. And you could even some people still try to make the argument that it was actually Gerald Alexander who came in and saved the defense, so to speak. I don't know if there's any truth to that whatsoever, but again, Josh Boyer's defense, the scheme in itself is just not sustainable. I feel like we need somebody who has a better idea of how to play a more sustainable defense, not just one that, aggressive blitzing is fun at first, especially when it works. But once the other team catches up to what you're doing and they realize, oh, they're not really blitzing as many times as they say they are, then it's just a waste of time. And you're making your defense literally play on their heels because they have to back up to make up for the fact that they're all scrunched up together at the line of scrimmage. And if they do go for the blitz, then you have at least one guy who's going to go on a comeback route, and he's going to be open because the corner can't get to him in time. So that defense just doesn't work. It doesn't. And so Josh Boyer, wherever he goes, I'm sure that he's going to find a lot of diamonds in the rough. And by the way, thank you for finding Kader Kohu. But it's kind of like the same thing with a lot of coaches. It's like they do one thing really well, and that's their specialty, but then they add more they get more responsibility put on them, and they just can't hold on to it. Alfredo pointing out, anybody going to mention the defense was exactly like last year's minus the turnovers? Yeah, the turnovers are what made the defense so impressive last season. The fact that they were able to create
last season, we didn't even have as many turnovers as we had the season before. But last year, our defense stayed extremely healthy too, unusually healthy, which was a help for sure. Now, I agree that our defensive coordinator needs to be somebody. So it can't be a promotion. It can't be some other team's D-line coach. It needs to be somebody who has been a proven defensive coordinator in the past.
Right. Somebody who got fired.
Run a defense on their own, and they can just and especially if it could be somebody who's actually even been a head coach before, I'm down for that. I think that you're right on that. I think they need to give that defense to somebody who can literally just run the defense and has done that in the past, not some kind of promotion or from even another team. I'm not for that. I don't think that's a good fit with McDaniel.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody like Vic Fangio. I'm looking for somebody like Robert Saleh. I don't think he's going to get fired by the Jets.
I don't think he's going to get fired either. But man, that would be
like, could you imagine?
I hate to root for a dude to get fired, but holy crap! Selfishly, I want that dude to get fired.
That's the dream team. McDaniel and Saleh work so well together.
That's the dream
it would
team.
be
Absolutely.
like white on rice, man. That would be like perfect. That would be the perfect matchup. Like even more so than somebody like Vic Fangio, which I know that McDaniel has history with him too. But my God, you put Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel together, you have the perfect match of offense and you basically have two head coaches. Like, how many teams can you do that for? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Robert Saleh gets fired from the Jets. They want to start fresh. They're over the Zach Wilson experiment. We're going to start over. Mike McDaniel calls up Saleh and says, hey, dude, I'm going to have Ross back up the Brinks truck for you. You want to be my secondary head coach? So I'll coach the offense, you coach the defense, and together we're just going to rock the AFC East. My God.
Yeah.
Like, what a dream that would be.
It would be nice. Saleh's just such a good defensive coach, too. I mean, and he was able to take, like McDaniel was able to take what he was good at mostly and implement that as a head coach on a new team. Saleh was able to do the same thing on the defensive side for the Jets. So it really would be a nice pairing. But either way, they need to find a defensive coordinator who's been a coordinator before, done it for a long time, veteran guy, and maybe even been a head coach before. I think that would be the better fit for Miami and for McDaniel.
Gelato points out, how you feel about Brian Flores and Mike McDaniel? So I'm guessing.
No, I feel that Brian Flores, I don't ever want that dude near our team. Go away.
I mean, listen, the fact that he sued the team is enough, but I think Gelato's more talking about the comparisons between the two, because if you really think about it, Brian Flores' Dolphins had a very similar record, and
but it's not. But we know the ins and outs, and if you're on OnlyFans, you really got a good clue about the ins and outs of what that was like behind the scenes with Brian Flores. If you knew what I knew, you wouldn't want Brian Flores anywhere near your team. Nobody would want Brian Flores to be a head coach of their team. And why do you think that guy got what looked like opportunities to be a head coach? And they're like, wow, this guy had 2 winning seasons. Like, why did he get fired? Let me pick up a phone. And I know somebody. I know this guy at Miami. I know that guy at Miami. Let me pick up the phone and find out what happened. Trust me, stories were told. People were like, oh, my God, no, we're not hiring this guy as our head coach. That's what happened. I don't want that guy anywhere near my team ever again to do anything.
Yeah. And next we have Alfredo pointing out, depending on who gets the Broncos job, the coordinator you want is Ejiro Evero if they clean house. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look into it.
That's their DC, and that defense is really good. So
their offense sucks.
Their offense isn't so hot, but their defense is good. Yeah, if they did clean house and got a new defense coordinator, now they could do what Miami did, and again, if it's Peyton, maybe not, because maybe if Peyton goes to Denver, he wants his own guy. But they could hire a new head coach and then decide, hey, the defense played well. Let me just keep the guy who was running the defense, etc. They could end up doing that, the same thing Miami did, and keep him as a DC.
Well, let's try this. Who's more likely to clean house if hired, Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh?
Both. They'll both clean house and just put in their own people. They'll both do it. I don't know that either one of those guys are.
But Giro Rivera is the Mike McDaniel defense. Okay. Sounds good to me, man. And listen, as for all the crap that we give Josh Boyer, a lot of it is well deserved, because even though we talk about how the secondary is completely depleted, there are a lot of good pieces on this roster, like a lot of good pieces. Like, I can just go down the list here of Dolphins players, and I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to go by position. Like, listen, Xavier Howard, yes, he's on his way down, but he's still a good player. He came up big at the end.
I think some of his might have been injury. I'm not sold that X is on the way down and he's done. I'm not sold there with that yet.
Yeah. So obviously Kader Kohu, fantastic young player who did a really good job in a tough spot. You have role players like look at this. Raekwon Davis is there. He's pretty good. He was on. He had a down year this year, believe it or not. But that's only because, really, in my opinion, guys like Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, those two together,
Sealer and Wilkins.
That's like the Bowens and Gardner.
That's our Bowens and Gardner. Yes, it is, man. And Wilkins, man. Wilkins, what? I can't believe I saw. I hate to name call. If I could remember his name on Twitter, I would call his name out for talking trash about Christian Wilkins, and that we should be careful about extending him.
Yeah,
dude, come on, man. That guy has been he's been a shining piece in an overall fairly mediocre to poor defense. Him and Phillips, those guys were shining pieces on the defense this year.
Oh yeah. And Cap for Life pointing out that Josh Boyer is the one who discovered Kader Kohu. Again, we're not denying that. We are really not denying that.
We appreciate it. Good luck in your next job.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate you finding a really good gem. Now you can't coach defense. Please leave. That's because just lots of people can be scouts and not be good at anything else, right? Because again, that was. Like, Adam Gase was supposed to be the QB whisperer, right? He had the reputation. He was an offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning. He was the guy, right? So what happened? He's not as good as advertised. Maybe he could find a few good pieces here and there, but aside from that, no, I'm good with that.
He's not even coaching anywhere in the NFL anymore.
No, he's not. I don't think is he coaching anywhere?
I don't think he is. If it is, it's like high school or some crap.
I don't even think he's doing that much. I think he's out of coaching. I think everybody was like, we don't even want you coaching our little league team, dude. Like, you're scary. So, but again, lots of really good pieces for any coming in defensive coordinator to play with. Jerome Baker, if used as a pass rushing linebacker, as Alpha alluded to last week, he can do some good stuff. Bradley Chubb, I'm not convinced that he's just suddenly not good now that he's in a Dolphins.
No, I think you're going to see in the right scheme, in the right situation, a whole offseason with Miami. I think you're going to see Chubb have a good season with us next year. I think Chubbs and Phillips will be a pair to be reckoned with, along with Christian Wilkins and Sealer. I think the Dolphins have a chance to have a top 3 defensive line in the NFL if they can get the right defensive coordinator who can really put it together.
Yeah, and by the way, if we re-sign Melvin Ingram as a role player pass rusher, I'm all for that. I really, really am.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Yep, I'll take that as a situational pass rusher there. I think that's basically what he's going to be good for. I'd give him another $6 million. Here you go. Come on back, please. Thank you very much.
I mean, and Ogba will be back. I don't know which Ogba will get, but I mean, he will be back, so it should be interesting to see what he does. I really don't have a prediction on what Ogba will look like once he's past the injury.
I actually speaking of, by the way, on Ingram, I did speak to somebody recently who knows Melvin Ingram. He mentioned that he likes Miami. So I'm sure that if Miami gives him a good enough offer, he'll definitely consider coming back.
Who doesn't like Miami?
This is true, but still, it's nice. It's nice to know that somebody enjoys the atmosphere down here. So I'm going to go ahead.
It's not always about being a hard ass in today's NFL. It's a new breed of individual playing. That's the sport. New mindset. They grew up differently. You got to have coaches that understand that in a way, in my opinion.
Yep. So Sam S is saying should have done what the Ravens did with Roquan Smith and waited until the end of the season to sign Chubb to a big contract. Well, the thing is that with Bradley Chubb, that was part of the condition, was that he had to get a contract if he was going to end up going anywhere. So that was the rule. Roquan Smith wasn't holding the Ravens hostage to say, sign me or I won't play for you. Not that I think Chubb was doing that. Let me say it that way. I don't think Chubb was like saying, if you don't sign me to a money, I won't play. I don't think he was doing that. But I feel like that was just the Dolphins doing right by Chubb and making sure that he got his big money. And I do believe that he's a very solid pass rusher. And you notice the numbers, like the numbers definitely changed as soon as Chubb showed up, not in his stat sheet, but in everybody else's, because Jalen Phillips suddenly didn't have to deal with as much pressure on the other side. And he was able to get some seriously good pass rush reps in there.
You have to stick to your word as a GM or you're going to struggle to make deals with players. If you tell a player, yes, come over here and we will sign you to a deal. We will sign you to extension. We'll get it done. We're looking at something in the range of blah, blah, blah. You have to follow through on that, because if you don't, players aren't going to and agents aren't going to trust you, and you're going to struggle in the future. I think people forget that.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to keep going down the list here, man, because we got like Andrew Van Ginkel. Remember, he was a starter in last year with Miami, and he's a role player now. You got on offense, you have Robert Hunt, like Connor Williams doing a fantastic job. Obviously, even just 11 games worth of Teron Armstead was a huge difference.
I don't even know if we got his average. I don't think we did. We got the lower end maybe of what we were hoping to get out of Armstead. We were hoping to at least get 13 to 17 games, and we didn't even get that.
So. Well, 17 games would have been almost the whole year, right?
Yeah, we were hoping to get, that's the obviously he's never played a full season, but we were hoping to at least get 13, 14 games, I guess. And yeah, we didn't even get that or close. So that's too bad. And then a lot of times we got a hobbled Armstead, but even when he was hobbled, he was good.
Like, I'm just looking down the whole list of guys who are injured, man, and it's scary how long it is. I'm just gonna go down the list here. Cethan Carter done for the year. Eric Fisher never even put on the uniform, as far as I know.
I don't know what that was about.
Trey Flowers early in the season, he got hurt. Yeah. Myles Gaskin at the end of the season, because he never really played. Austin Jackson, I'm not losing any sleep.
I forgot we even had him.
Yeah. Brandon Jones, big hit in the secondary.
That was a big loss. That was a big loss for Boyer in the way he likes to scheme, because blitzing the safety was a big part of what Boyer liked to do, and Brandon Jones was excellent at it. One of the better blitzing safeties in the league. Right. That was when the defense really started to go south. As many players as they lost, losing Brandon Jones was a bigger loss than people realize.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For Boyer in the way he likes to call defense.
Yeah, let's do another one. Nick Needham, gone for the whole year.
Yeah, that hurt.
Like Trill Williams, obviously, I know you kind of shrugged him off last.
We just don't know what his true role would have been yet. You know what I mean?
I mean, it would have been coming in clutch and starting a little bit, I feel like. And again, Adam Shaheen gone, Emmanuel Ogbah gone.
Shaheen, I forgot we had him too.
And Byron Jones obviously never showed up, and I already talked about what I think what's going to ultimately happen with him. I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but I just feel like if I were him, when I say what I say, if I were him, I would try to negotiate with the team I'm already on and say, I want to get another chance to play, because at least I know I'll have an opportunity, as opposed to another team who may look at you and say, you're not worth my time. That's what I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's what the Dolphins will do. I'm not saying that's what Jones will do. I'm saying if I were him, I would go with the sure thing.
I really have no guess what they're going to do with him, because I don't know. It's just such a question as to what really happened there. Did he really have a true setback? Did he really just decide he didn't want to put bad film out there? I don't know, and because I don't know the true reason he never played a snap. Well, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
If you were on OnlyFins for $3 a month, you would have an inkling of what might be going on.
I have an inkling, but even that information is kind of, we're just not really sure. There's even the 3YPC guys don't necessarily completely agree on what happened there.
Well, but it's better to have some insight than just assuming things out of nowhere with no basis.
Yeah, we definitely have some insight. I'm gonna kind of lean towards one of the guys, and for whatever reason, I'm just going to. I think he chose not to play. I think he really probably could have strapped on the cleats and given it a whirl and decided that he wasn't going to. Whether he truly felt like he couldn't perform well or he was trying to protect himself personally for the next contract or whatever, I don't know if nobody probably knows that but Byron Jones.
I'm also going to point this out. Breaking news, apparently, from Pete Thamel, who's a college football senior writer for ESPN. Florida State is about to hire Patrick Surtain as the school's new secondary coach.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
So no more defensive assistants, Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain tandem. So now
no more celebrity assistants.
Yeah, it's just Sam now. He's the actual DB coach.
Well, honestly, the next defensive coordinator is probably going to come in and wipe that staff clean anyway.
I'm going to be.
And they should have the ability to do that, or they're probably not going to.
I am going to be so sad if Sam leaves, like for real. I felt like he was finally home again.
And I just want to have a good defense. I don't have any allegiance to Sam Madison being an assistant defensive, DB's coach or whatever. I just want to have a good defense. You bring in a guy and he wants to bring in his own guys and doesn't feel like Sam's the
Listen,
fit.
Sam and Pat coached up Cater Kohu pretty well.
Let Sam go be an assistant for Patrick Surtain.
Well, you got no chill, bro. No chill. Listen,
hey, dude, and I lived those years when they were playing, but
they coached up Cater Kohu pretty good.
That defense just disappointed me so much this year. I don't care.
That's not Sam's fault.
What?
That's not Sam's fault.
No, I'm just saying I don't care what it takes or what the result is of bringing in another defensive coordinator and letting him just control his own staff from top to bottom. If that means no Sam, then it means no Sam.
I know, I understand. It's just that I'm like my Dolphins' heart is sad, okay? Because I was so happy when they hired Sam. You remember, Ron. I was screaming for years that they had alumni players who had coached before sitting right there in the facility acting as the Finsiders, and instead you're ignoring them to bring in other people that are just, I don't know what, unbiased. I never understood it. Like Troy Drayton's been in the building for years. Let him coach up some tight end stuff
just because people are alumni in the building doesn't necessarily mean
everybody talks about how Dan Marino can coach up the Tua and all that nonsense. He sits in the quarterback coaching room and.
Now, Dan Marino his role is clear. He plays it well. He's just, an icon hanging around the building. Very respectful from what I understand, too. He doesn't throw his weight around and whatnot. He's respectful to the coaching staff, respectful to the team, and that's great, and that's cool that he's there. I think if Dan Marino was going to step in and be a quarterback's coach or an offensive coordinator or something like that, that would have happened by now.
And Alf said that it's a promotion for Pat, that he was Steve Gregory's assistant. Sam is the head guy for CBs. I'm not saying that Pat doesn't deserve it.
I'm glad. I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for him on a human level, but on a Dolphins level, I'm very upset because I really wanted to keep the tandem together in Miami where they belong.
So what's up, man? Are we going to talk about the Buffalo game some more, or are we going to do another show this week?
Okay, so that's
talk about the Buffalo game then.
That's what I was actually going to talk about. Is that what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make this show a little bit on the shorter side because I want everybody to know that we are planning a second show this week. We're doing 2 shows this week. We just haven't nailed down exactly what day it's going to be. Should we do it right here on air so that everybody listening will know when to tune in?
It's going to be Saturday at 3 a.m.
Saturday at 3 a.m., huh? Really?
No.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to be a zombie playing guitar on stage at the church. And do you have any idea how much trouble you're going to get me in?
You'll be all right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I'll play some piano for you.
Oh, my God. No. Oh, such a worm I am. That's the old. Oh, God. Okay. So I'm thinking maybe Friday. Can we do Friday?
Yeah, I don't think I have Friday. No, I have plans Friday. It's gonna have to be Thursday.
Okay, well, Thursday it is. We'll make
Thursday night.
Thursday night for not Thursday night football. No, we're not gonna have to compete anymore. So yeah, we'll set things up for Thursday, which is fine with me.
Hopefully, there's no Heat game.
Listen,
people even watch the Heat anymore? Don't they suck this year? I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Heat fans.
Yeah. Sam S says, I don't know if Sam Madison is to blame, but he's a bad corners coach. Our corners never had their heads around too many pass interference calls for my liking. Well, keep in mind there, Sam S. Yeah. Sam M was dealing with the same issues as Josh Boyer and Hull in the defense. There's just the lack of talent there, man.
Dude, we had Igby, we had Bethel. I mean,
hey. Don't disrespect Justin Bethel, man.
No, I'm not disrespecting them. But these guys were not like premier corners that are doing these PIs, not getting their head around.
Keon Crossan, mainly Keon Crossan. Like Cater Kohu had his moments, okay, but he's an undrafted free agent rookie out of a tiny school. The fact that he was able to play as well as he did is incredible. And you know who I credit for that? Who else?
Who?
Sam Madison, man.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Like for real, like you can't. He's the main cornerbacks coach. He works hand in hand with Kohu every single day. There just has to be some level of talent there. And listen, Kohu's got stuff in here. Like he has a good head on his shoulders. Unlike other guys, Noah Igbenogamy. Like
you want to bring up some tweets? I threw some tweets in there.
Okay, let me just go ahead and set that up. We'll do some tweets before
we haven't done tweets in like a few weeks. We've been too depressed
no, because we've had so much to talk about. We had a great argument with Chad last week. Like
Chad and Sanders canned.
Well, I mean, I wish who?
He wanted Sanders canned.
Jason Sanders, the kicker?
Yeah. He said that. Remember, he said that McDaniel was a puss because he wasn't willing to fire Sanders.
Well, I mean,
maybe it was good. Maybe he knew he should keep Sanders around because, number one, financially, you kind of had to. And number two, you're a coach for a reason. You can't, every time a player is not doing well, you don't just get rid of them. That's not coaching.
I mean,
you got to coach him up, man.
Yeah, well.
Hey, he made the 50-yarder. If he doesn't make that 50-yarder, we're maybe not in the playoffs.
Ron, did you hear the story I said on the post-game show on Sunday?
I did not.
Okay, so when Jason Sanders went up to kick the 50-yard field goal, I had my head in my hands thinking, oh, God, it's 50 yards. Why couldn't it have been 49? And I was like, he's going to miss it. And then when he made it, I was so shocked beyond all belief.
I'm not gonna lie. It surprised me too.
I was stunned that he actually made the kick. I was expecting it to shank right, shank left, wherever. He hooked it somewhere. Then when he made it, I started to walk out of the Chili's that I was in with my brother, my best friend. And it's 18 seconds. Like I was getting ready. I was high-fiving everybody in the restaurant. Yeah, we got this. We won. I'm going to go do post-game. Everybody tuned in to 5 Reasons Sports Network, doing a plug on my way out. And then I got to the door. And I stopped because I came to the realization, oh, wait, there's 18 seconds left. They still have time to screw this up. So I turned back around to make sure the game was actually over, and I left. But it's like the fact that I felt that way about the whole thing, that Jason Sanders would somehow still miss it, I don't feel very good about it. I still don't want Jason Sanders around unless he shows up in training camp next year and doesn't miss a single kick. That's how I feel about it at this point, because I want competition. I want somebody to push him. I want somebody to be like, if you start screwing up again like you did last year, I am gunning for your job. That's the
best bet, and that's probably what they'll do. They may not even just go ahead and cut him this offseason. They'll probably bring in competition, and that's the way to do it. Bring in real competition, or draft a guy late in the 6th or 7th round or something.
Yeah. All right, so let's do some tweets real quick, as you mentioned here. So this one comes from Greer. I'm happy we're in the playoffs, but we didn't win 10 games. But didn't we win 10 games last year?
Yeah, it's not season to season. You just can't compare. It's different opponents, different situations. I never really say, oh, we won 10 last year. Actually, we didn't win 10 last year. We won 9, won 10 the year before. But so he's not even correct about that. But we won 9 last year. We won 9 this year.
Okay, so
that does not mean that Flores is as good a coach as McDaniel. He's not.
Okay, so and by the way, the only reason I screamed it was the exclamation points there. I hope everybody is aware of that.
I caught
not everybody gets my sense of humor, Ron, unfortunately.
I caught that.
All right, this one comes from Ty Ray. 3 straight winning seasons, playoff appearance. If you don't feel great, you haven't been a Finns fan for very long.
Yeah, it's true that we have 3 straight winning seasons. When's the last time we had 3 straight winning seasons? Since the Marino years, probably?
I think Alf probably has that stats hidden somewhere.
Or unless it was early, like 2000, maybe the Johnson years. Well, no, Johnson and Marino years were the same. So maybe, did Wannstedt have 3? I doubt it. He probably didn't have 3 straight winning seasons. Probably it's been since the Marino years, or, Jimmy Johnson and Marino years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I know that. I don't think I can remember last time they went through 3 winning seasons in a row.
No, I really can't even remember. I'd have to look back to look through their seasons.
I'm sure Alf has it in his back pocket somewhere.
Yeah, he knows.
Speaking of, the line was at -11 Buffalo yesterday. It opened -10 Buffalo today. It is at Buffalo -9 at midday, and it is now at Buffalo 8.5.
That's the sharp bettors. That means the sharp bettors, the big bettors, are betting heavy on Miami on these bigger lines. It'll start. They'll find the number they like here soon.
No, do you know what this tells me?
They're maybe anticipating Tua plays as well.
Correct. That's my guess. Is that I'm starting to think that people are starting to catch word, because listen, if we're still anticipating Skylar Thompson, that line
-11 to -12 or 13 feels right for Thompson. I could see if they get word that Tua's gone and they're starting Thompson, you can see that spread start to go way back up again. It'll get back to 11 and probably go higher.
Right.
If Skylar Thompson starts.
The fact that Vegas knows all, they see all. The fact that Vegas is starting to drop that line.
Well, Vegas is the one that set that 11. It's really not Vegas dropping the line. It's the wise guys, so to speak.
I call that Vegas.
That are making that line drop.
It ain't price picks, that's for sure.
Betting Miami so heavy and pushing that line down. So they're betting Miami heavy right now.
Well, I call that. I just call that an offshoot of Vegas. That's all part of the whole Vegas.
Yeah, you're right. If you want to consider that as part of Vegas, yeah, you could. You're right.
All right, so let's see. Let's do a couple more here. From John Juan, just feeling like Tua better play. Yeah, we're all in the same boat on that one, Matt. Like, even people who don't like that's the funny thing. That's what I really find amusing, Ron, is that everybody who was trashing Tua, saying Tua's not the guy, Tua's not that special. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, if Tua doesn't play, we're doomed.
Thank you. That's exactly right. That's what's funny. Miami Dolphins fans will never be satisfied with their quarterback anyway. Had that conversation in OnlyFans this morning.
You would have to throw Dan Marino into the fountain of youth, and even still, people would still complain.
The Dolphins fans will never be satisfied with who their quarterback is, no matter what. They just, overall as a fan base, they just never will. They'll always want the other guy. They'll always be making a Photoshop of some other dude's quarterback in the Dolphins.
Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
And it'll be somebody else. In 2 or 3 or 4 years, even if Tua is not here, we'll have who knows, and they'll be standing for somebody else's quarterback and doing photoshops of that dude in a Dolphins uniform. It'll never end. I might as well I give up. I'm just gonna enjoy it for me. I don't care about that anymore.
I told you Alf had it in his back pocket. So Dolphins have 3 winning seasons in a row. Previous winning season streaks, 97 to 03, they won 7 in a row. 70 to 75, they won 6. 81 to 85, they had 5. 92 and 95, they had 4. 77 to 79, they had 3.
So it's been since 97.
Yeah. Okay. So 97 to 2003.
So 25 years since we've had 3 winning seasons in a row. Man, this feels like.
Oh my God! It's been that long. Oh my God, I'm old. When did that happen?
This feels like the most mediocre of those teams, right? Like, if you have to be honest. Like, some of those teams he mentioned. I mean, we had Marino years in there. We had the 70s teams. Like, we had some serious teams in it. This feels like a bit of mediocrity. Oh, 2003. I missed that.
That's when the streak ended, so I guess you can say.
Oh, that's when the streak ended. Okay. So almost 20 years. Yeah, so we had some mediocre quarterback play back then too, but man, we had a hell of defense.
Yeah.
That was fun times.
Sam S. wants to bring up, if Tua ever wants to be recognized an elite QB, he absolutely has to play Sunday. This is the playoffs. You risk it all for this moment. Listen, Sam.
Yeah.
Not
deeper than that, brother.
Okay, but yeah, it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
If Tua doesn't clear the protocol, then it's not even up to him.
Yeah, and you know what? Tua, he can't think about one playoff game. That guy needs to think about his health, his family for the rest of his life. There's more to life than football. in a playoff game. I want him to play too. Don't get me wrong. I really want him to play. And I'm sure he wants to play, but should he play? And that's a question for only he can, and his doctors and his family can answer. I won't sit here and answer that for him.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that he shouldn't play or whatever, but I will say that, again, like I said, it may not be up to him. He has to be cleared first. So once we hear that if we hear that he cleared the protocol, he's healthy, he's ready to go, and he decides he doesn't want to play, then we can start raising our eyebrows at him. But if it's not up to him, I can't blame him for that. It's like he's not allowed to play. There's a big difference between I don't want to play and I do want to, but I'm literally being chained to the wall to stop me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I as a Dolphins fan, selfishly, I really hope he plays because he's, for me, really the only chance we have of winning. Mm-hmm. And I think if he plays, we actually do have a chance of winning. I'd be very curious if McDaniel announced Wednesday, that's tomorrow, right? If McDaniel announced tomorrow that Tua's playing, I'd be curious what that line looks like. I think it probably goes more to like 5 or 5.5 Buffalo, something like that.
And last question we'll do for the night. Aaron Anders, what's more toxic, Dolphins Twitter or Heat Twitter?
You know what? Heat Twitter is more massive. But I don't get into Heat Twitter. I know a lot of it crosses over, obviously, because a lot of the Dolphins fans are Heat fans. But I don't know much about the toxicity of Heat Twitter to be able to answer that question. Because sadly, I'm a Magic fan. So. Yeah, I'm just.
Your boy Paolo ruins all my prize picks, man. I don't even pick the taco for him.
I root for Miami. I'm not like an anti-Miami fan. I'm really going to tick Miami fans off. I'm actually a huge LeBron fan. Yeah. So obviously when he was with the Heat, I was definitely watching the Heat like every single night they played. But I'm a Magic fan, so I don't really dig into the Heat Twitter too much.
Tell Paolo to stop sucking. Alex, Magic, cancel Ron again. You weren't canceled hard enough.
I cancel myself. I mean, the Magic. They're kind of.
Paolo only sucks when I bet on him, Ron.
The Magic are kind of doing some interesting things this year. They kind of got me interested in some dudes, but the problem with the Magic is they'll have some times like this where it's like, ooh, maybe have some young guys. In 2 or 3 years, all them dudes will be traded.
What's up with your dude, Bull? What's with your guy Bull? Like, I can't bet on him. His numbers are so off, like all random and weird that I can never make a safe bet on him.
You still crushing on prize picks, man? You still making some money?
I'm trying to, but your guy Paolo and Bull keep screwing me up.
Well, don't take him anymore.
You're the expert on the Magic. You tell me.
I'm not. I am not the expert on the Magic. That's for sure. Like I'm not about to do Pulse of Magic Nation or any crap like that. That's for damn sure.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and call everything.
Let's wrap it up. Hey, we're not doing any picks because we're going to do those the next.
Yeah, we're doing this next show Thursday. Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to be doing another Pulse of Fins Nation to actually preview what's going on. We're going to have a better idea of who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. We'll have more prize picks probably to choose from by then. So we're going to be ready for you. Everybody, make sure that you're tuning in because yes, Thursday, 7 p.m. This same week, we're going to be doing a bonus episode of Pulse of Fins Nation just for all of you. So, but before we go, just mentioning one more time, make sure you go to prizepicks.com. It is the revolutionary fantasy platform where you can pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues. You can choose the Magic players if you really want to. You can choose the Heat players if you want to. Choose the Dolphins, choose the Patriots, choose the Bills, choose whoever you want. Choose the over or the under on whatever fantasy projections there are. If you want to pick the over on Josh Allen's rushing yards, which I would this week because it's Miami. And if you want to go ahead and pick the over on Jeff Wilson's rushing yards, you can do that as well. All of it is up for grabs. Just go over there right now to prizepicks.com and use that promo code 5. That's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you first sign up. All righty. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost literally at the 1 hour mark. I almost want to time it at exactly 1 hour just to make everything weird, but whatever, it's fine. We'll go ahead and call it here. Ron, thank you for joining me. Maybe next week we'll have Chad and Alf with us as well.
Not next week, but
excuse me. You're right. Later this week, Thursday. All right, everybody. Have a great night.